India is very poor. In fact, our per capita income is just $3,000 a year, which is approximately 2.5 lakh rupees. But despite that, Apple released some shocking data in India. Their India business grew by 36%. Now compare that to Apple's overall growth, which was just 6.7%. And get this, their highest selling product in India was the iPhone, where the smartphone market has an average selling price of just $248. So that really makes you wonder, how on earth did a company that sells phones worth $600 to $1,000 do so incredibly well in such a poor country? I'll give you a hint. The fintech giant Razorpay reported that interest-free loans, or as we call them in India, no-cost EMIs, doubled over the past 1 year. In fact, low-cost EMIs, meaning loans with 12 to 15% interest, grew by almost 21% in just 1 year. Why? Because India's Gen Z suffers from a terrible disease, showing off. And I'm making this video because I too suffered from the exact same disease, but guess what? I got better. I got rid of the necessity to show off, to seek external validation, and I came to a point where I experienced absolutely zero FOMO, or the fear of missing out, in my own life. And after I tell you the financial mess that India is in, I'll tell you exactly how I got better and completely got rid of the need to show off. Consider this video to be a warning, because Gen Z is about to die broke. Now, let me give you some context from my personal life. There was a time when I used to be a sneakerhead. I wanted an abundance of sneakers in my life. I had up to 15 pairs and I would cycle through them literally every single day. And guess what? You'd think that 15 pairs is pretty solid for a collector, right? But there was no limit to my desire. I wanted more and more. I wanted an even better collection. I wanted it to be bigger. I wanted a sneaker closet. This happened back in 2022, and guess what my collection looks like now? I have one pair of sandals that I wear to 99% of the places, and for the remaining 1% of special occasions, I have 2 sneakers and 1 pair of formal shoes. I sold most of my collection or gave it away to my friends and family, and most of the clothes I have today all cost less than 1,000 rupees each, and they do not have a single logo on them. Now, before I tell you how this beautiful transition happened, let me also tell you the danger that my country is in. I'll give you an example. The need for showing off is so bad in India that you'll find many iPhone cases with a small circular hole at the back of them. Why? So that it could properly display the Apple logo. In India, people are absolutely driven by status and prestige. They want to be seen. They want other people to think that they can afford the nicer things in life, even if they can't. Indians would absolutely go to any extent to show off. And when I say any extent, I am not exaggerating. NDTV reported that the son of a very poor flower seller told her that I would not eat for 3 days until you buy me an iPhone. This was the demand made to a mother who probably earns less than 500 rupees or $6 a day. The boy didn't eat a single morsel for 3 days until his poor mother bought him that phone.
कह रहे हैं कि मंदिर में फूल बेचते हैं, ये सच बात है?
फूल पत्ती हम बेचीला भैया, ये खाली हमसे 3 दिन से खाना ना खाता हूँ।
अच्छा, ये खाना नहीं खा रहे, आईफोन के लिए खाना नहीं खा रहे?
नहीं।
Okay, honestly, I think the mother wasn't desi enough, because if I had told my parents as a kid that I would not eat until you buy me this thing, they would have just said, But jokes aside, all of this craze for the premium products and borrowing money to afford them has happened because of 2 primary reasons. The first one is obviously how easy it is to come in contact with external stimuli. We are always on social media seeing what other people are up to. And that's the thing. Every single person only shows you the best parts of their lives. Secondly, it is incredibly easy to spend money irresponsibly thanks to large financial corporations. Just think about buying a laptop once and a new laptop is all you would see on Instagram and YouTube. Think about traveling to Bali and Bali would fill your Instagram algorithm. All of this only entices you to take the leap and spend your money. And when you do that, you also have that urge to show people that you have a great life. And that in turn breeds this same tendency in those other people. They think that, you know what, this guy just bought a new laptop. He's traveling to Bali. He's got all the nice things in life. I want the exact same thing. So let me put all of those things on my credit card and convert them into a loan. I'll pay for that little by little every single month. It's a vicious cycle, and the fintech landscape that we belong to makes it all the more easy to spend money, and even easier to spend money that we don't have. I'll give you a personal example. When I just started using a credit card about 4 years ago, I noticed that my spends nearly doubled and in some months even tripled. Imagine this, you have 10,000 rupees and you feel like spending 5,000 rupees on a new pair of shoes. As soon as you put that purchase on your credit card, your bank account still reflects 10,000 rupees, giving you the illusion that you have money. In reality, however, the bank account is an asset worth 10,000 rupees and your credit card debt is a liability worth 5,000 rupees, giving you a net worth of just 5,000 rupees. You have spent money, but you feel like you still have it. You don't owe anything to the bank for 45 days. You do not have to pay interest on this money, and you see your bank account full of 10,000 rupees, making you feel like, whoa, I'm still rich. And that's exactly what I suffered with. While I always paid my bills in full and never defaulted, I saw that my spends went up by 2 to 3 times. When you start spending on a credit card, the proposition is very simple. Let's say you haven't received your salary yet and you see a bag that you really like. You feel like, you know what, I'll put this purchase on my credit card, and as soon as I receive my salary, I will repay it. But as soon as the next month comes, you pay your bills and now you see something else that you like, maybe a new phone. But since you just paid your credit card bills, you don't have the money and your salary isn't due for another 15 to 20 days. So guess what you do? Let's just put it on the credit card. As soon as the salary comes, I'll pay it off. You see what's happening? Even though you have absolutely no need to live paycheck to paycheck, the credit card converts your life into a paycheck to paycheck. And this whole illusion of having credit card debt that you cannot see, but having a bank account that is visible and is full, led to a lot of overspending. I would order food instead of cooking more often. I would go out more often. I would buy new clothes for absolutely no reason, no matter how expensive they are. I would find silly reasons to upgrade my tech. And the worst of them all, I would get more sneakers. But this is just one aspect of it. There are other ways in which these fintech companies make you spend more and more money. If you have a fixed salary of 50,000 rupees, the credit limit that you would get would be more than 2 lakh rupees, which would make you feel like, you know what, maybe I can afford a phone that costs 1 lakh rupees. All of these tactics don't make you feel like you are spending money. It's all just a click. Or let's say on the other hand, you use UPI. Every time you spend money with UPI, you see money leave your bank account. It pains you. So the companies figured out a way to bypass this as well. They introduced UPI Lite, which is like a smaller wallet within UPI where you deposit up to 2,000 rupees and you can spend this without entering a PIN. But every time you spend on UPI Lite, you get absolutely no debit notification and it doesn't feel like you are losing money from your bank account. In fact, many people after depositing money into their UPI Lite wallet start using it as a gift card. They feel like this is money I've already spent, so might as well use it for whatever I like. There is an intense amount of consumer psychology that goes behind designing these products so that you can spend more and more money. Just think of it this way. Let's say you have 10,000 rupees in cash. You have 20 notes of 500 rupees each. And now you feel like buying a 5,000 rupee pair of sneakers, you would have to part with this cash. You would have a bundle and this bundle would now be half because you paid 5,000 rupees. It would hurt you. It would cause friction. And the financial corporations know this, so they take the pain out of the equation. And when you combine this with those credit products that make people feel like they have a lot of money, you are trapped in an endless cycle of consumerism. And social media here acts as a catalyst where every single person is only showing you the best parts of their lives. And when you see these best parts, you get the fear of missing out, which only pushes you to spend more money. Now, you know why I said Gen Z will die broke and not any other generation? Let me prove it with the help of data. Our parents' generation, or our grandparents for that matter, were great with money. Why? Because number one, they weren't on social media to get that FOMO that would induce them to spend money. And number two, they spent most of their money with the help of cash. They didn't use credit products. In fact, during that time, they weren't as easy to access either. As a result, every time they got their salaries, they would save some of it, invest some of it, and then whatever is left over would be used for luxuries. And if you look at the data, you can actually see this happening. In 2014, India's household debt was just 8.7% of our total GDP. This was a time when Gen Z was probably in school. But look at 2024, this household debt nearly doubled to 17.4%. when Gen Z started earning. And the reason I say Gen Z will die broke because Gen Z also has it more difficult in every other aspect of life. It's harder to get a job now. It's harder to buy a house now. I'll give you the example of the house that my parents bought. Back in 2006, they bought that house for a total of 18 lakh rupees. Obviously, they took out a home loan to do so because we couldn't afford the entire amount. They put 20% of it down and the remaining amount was a loan for which the monthly payment was 13,500 rupees. And at the time, my parents' combined monthly income was about 75,000 rupees. They weren't astronomically rich. My mother worked as a transcriber and my father worked at a newspaper company. If you divide that monthly payment by their monthly combined incomes, then you would get just 17%. Now contrast that to 2025. If I were to buy that exact same house, I would require a home loan of up to 1 crore rupees. That, by the way, is after putting 20% of the home value down. At an 8% interest for 20 years, the monthly payment now would be 83,000 rupees. Even if by some stroke of luck I end up making an income of 3 lakh rupees a month, this amount would be nearly 30% of that. And what do the numbers say? Just 10% of Indians make more than 25,000 rupees a month. And if you look at the cities, the average home price is 1 crore rupees. So how on earth does Gen Z afford a house? Also, if you remember, I said my parents bought the house together. It's easier buying a house with a spouse, but divorce rates are rising. Gen Z is finding harder to date. Basically, every single person born after 1997 has commitment issues. So if the situation is so bad in virtually every aspect of life, why are we spending money like it's nobody's business? That's because now everything in India is sold on a per month basis. If you want to buy a new TV, a phone, a fridge, you go on the website, it would say starting at 1800 rupees a month. What's funny is that quick commerce businesses that deliver groceries in 10 to 15 minutes like Blinkit, Zepto, Swiggy, Instamart are also offering loans for grocery bills above 5,000 rupees. And before we know it, we are in a trap. We spend money that we don't have to impress people that we don't even care about. And it's very easy to say, well then don't show off, don't spend your money. But our brains don't work like that. So how on earth did I overcome this? Now, I did a few simple things that took the need for validation and the need for showing off completely out of my system. And before I tell that to you, if you've learned something new from this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Firstly, it helps with the algorithm, and secondly, the entire team stays extremely motivated when you subscribe. Firstly, I understood a deep insight about myself. I wasn't addicted to buying things. I was addicted to the newness that comes with it. For some reason, it made a lot of sense to sit down and analyze what I've spent on over the past 1 month. But even more so, I tried to understand how all of that made me feel and how it's making me feel now. For example, start of the month, I bought a new pair of shoes. Felt incredible when I pressed that button and placed the order. Then for the next 4 days, I was tracking that order every single day, seeing where my delivery is. As soon as it comes, I would be excited to unbox it. I would open it, and then the honeymoon phase for, let's say, 10 to 15 days would follow. You spend that time looking at the product, admiring it, and finally the newness dies and you move on to something else. I realized that I wasn't exactly addicted to the product, but the journey of buying it, that unboxing joy, that dopamine that lasts maybe 10 minutes. Then eventually there was a point where I had hoarded a bunch of things. None of them made me happy the way they did when I bought those things and unboxed them. And now those things were just there. So from this realization onwards, every time I felt like buying something, I just recalled this journey of being very excited and then eventually being bored and then not feeling anything towards that thing. Just asking myself if I really want that thing or the newness helped a lot. And the second realization really made me feel like shit about myself. The more I tried to show other people that I was happy and that I had an excellent life, the more unhappy I became. There was always something better, someone else to outshine, some other benchmark that you could have met. That's just sad. Ultimately, for me, I was at the peak of my happiness when I stopped posting my life on social media. When I stopped trying to outperform someone else or show someone that my life was excellent. It was when I stopped caring about what everyone else is up to and focused on the things that brought me joy. The biggest change was when I started doing things that purely made me happy instead of doing the things where I'm trying to show other people that I'm happy. And when I did that, my bank account also started smiling. I realized that showing off was not only the fastest way to go broke, but it was also one of the fastest ways to unhappiness and discontentment. Anyway, have you ever been in this trap and how have you dealt with it? I'd love to know it in the comments. As always, if you learned something new, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel.